Hello to all my witches, warlocks, writers, and wanderers. I am KibbyRose, and today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be doing an author interview with one of our favorite people. Cora's at her corner. Her book came out on Saturday, and you can go ahead and pick it up on Amazon. We'll have the links down there in the below part when we get through with this. So let me go ahead and unroll the opener, and then I'll introduce our author.
Hi, I'm Cora Kathleen, also known as Cora's at her corner on YouTube, and I'm celebrating my new book, A Complicated Story Night, that is out now. Dani Walsh has a talent for fashion design that attracts the eyes of celebrities thanks to her sister's celebrity status. Her childhood friend, Noah Parker, a computer engineer, has been collaborating with Dani's long-lost brother, Anton, on a groundbreaking app. As a thank you, Anton acquires a beach house in Sansing, Indiana, for them and some other friends to spend a weekend. But when a storm hits and Dani's fear takes over, she finds herself in Noah's arms. They decide to give into their attraction for one night only, not wanting to risk their friendship. But when they return to reality, they face more than just awkwardness. Someone has hacked into Anton and Noah's app and stolen their data. Can Dani and Noah handle the fallout of their one-night stand and that cyber attack?
May I introduce for you Cora? Okay, well, how did you become an author? What got you into this whole writing schmeal?
So back when I was in high school, I was never really a fan of the literature arts, the stuff you're forced to read and the stuff you're forced to write. And you're like, I'm not interested in this. And then we had a teacher, it was my 11th grade year, so junior year. He came in and he was a very inspiration of letting you write your own things, letting you expand your mind. And so me and my one friend in that class, we got together and we wrote this silly book, and I've been writing since. I didn't write too much after high school until after I had children. I was pregnant with twins and I did lose one. So writing really helped me get back on my feet.
So I was going to say, sounds like writing was both an escape and a healing for you.
It was, because we were also writing this silly little book that will never get published, thank the Lord.
There's a lot of stuff I think we wrote in high school, us authors playing around, that we're thankful never gets published.
Yes.
Social media for us didn't exist back then, and some of us are highly grateful for it.
Even though she posted some of the story online, I just don't know where. So luckily, it's going to be hard to find.
Well, it is the internet. Everything is out there. So.
But yeah, we were writing that too before our friend passed away, and we were still in the middle of just writing and having fun when he did pass away. So that helped us, kind of heal.
You learned this as a coping skill as a young age.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because this month was his 19th year of passing. So he's been gone now longer than he's been alive. I was only just 18. I had just turned 18 and he was 16. So
is that kind of also what curbed what genre you decided to write in, or did you choose the genre as a way of escape?
So the reason why I chose the romance genre is because, what was it? I think it was Savvy Writes Books. So Savvy from Savvy Writes Books. Read the stuff that, you would like, not the stuff that you were forced to. So I figured, I do like watching those cheesy Hallmark movies and stuff. So, and I do like reading those romance and stuff. So I should probably work on more of that genre since I already like it. Because if you don't like something, why would you write about it?
Well, think about this too. If you lost your love and you were writing about it, and during the time you used writing as a coping skill to lose your love, I could see how that would easily transcend into you continuing the healing process by writing in romance as an adult.
Yeah.
And I just want to do a little shout out to Savvy, because evidently the whole reason 3 years ago that I started writing my book was because Savvy Writes Books was doing her the Sean book, her and the
Yeah.
co-author who's doing the Sean book.
Yes.
And I was all about it, and it encouraged me to get a part of the author. That's what introduced me to everybody in the author2 community.
I was there. Yeah, a couple times.
3 years later, and Savvy Writes Books brought
us together.
That's incredible. That is so cool, because that's probably how we found each other. So we have to thank Savvy for all of this. So
Thanks,
Savvy, you had a part of all of this. Yeah. What inspired you to write this book in particular?
So this is part of a standalone series that I've been writing the past couple years. I started the first 2021 of February. So this is the 4th book in the series now. I wanted to do a friends to lovers trope, which in the last book I had to introduce these 2 characters or else they wouldn't have been in it at all.
Why do I feel like this is when I was giving you readings on that book?
The second one.
The second one.
That was a couple years ago.
And I said that don't worry about the relationship one, because you're going to make that into a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's really neat. All right. So you've been working on this series for quite some time then.
Yeah, I've been working on it. It was NaNoWriMo of 2020, I believe.
So this wasn't like an original idea. This was kind of one that's been in the workings since pretty much book 1.
2 books ago, I'm like, I want to do a friends to lovers, but none of them have that in there. So I planned it, and that's why in the 3rd book I introduced these characters.
And then so you introduced them in the 3rd book, and then towards the end it kind of like left their story.
Yeah, and then
now it's picking up again in the 4th book. Good job. That's how you make the reader come back. What were some of the challenges of bringing this whole series, I guess, into fruition, and then specifically this book in general?
I think with this book in general, the biggest challenge is not the writing process at all. It's when I got done writing, I got pregnant and I got really sick.
Well, it seemed like every single time you were trying to like turn a corner to put the book out, it was like, nope, not yet.
No.
Nope, not yet.
So I'm like, we'll put the editing aside. If I can get it out by August the next year, that'd be fine. Yeah, that didn't happen. I'm like, another month, and then finally I got the editing done.
So for those of you who've read book 3 and have been waiting for book 4, here's your reason why.
Yeah.
Please forgive her as an author for delaying time, but for those of you that are mothers, you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Guaranteed. Pregnancy is not easy, and I don't blame you for maybe putting some other things on the back burner to take care of take care of what's on the forefront.
Yeah.
So, well, that's good to know that sometimes for authors, it's not necessarily, the comprehension or being able to write it out. Like sometimes life just delays you.
One thing that I've learned from you is it's okay to kind of, take your time and make sure you dot all the T's and cross all the T's and dot the I's.
Ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Ebb and flow with it. Sometimes you're going to have to be the tide and pull back and reserve your energy for more important things. That doesn't mean that the energy isn't building for the forward movement on the project that's waiting. That beast is still sitting there. The tide's going to push in eventually. So yeah, you've definitely, I have to say, just in the time that I've known you, you went from not being able to handle the scattered energies to literally embracing them. It's almost like you were like, I can't organize all this, so I'm just going to grab it like this and go. Is that kind of what it felt like?
That's what it felt like.
You're like, I'm not going to be able to get these in perfectly ordered lines. So while I've got it all in a space at once, we're just go. Because sometimes that is organized chaos.
Thank you.
So,
yeah.
But that's what this year was about. And that's what I kind of tried to warn everybody about. And that's why Cora listens to me, my horoscopes on my channel. So for all of you that can feel that panic of the year coming, look what I've done for Cora.
Yeah.
You need help. So how exactly did you come up with the title, A Complicated Story Night?
I knew I wanted to have that friends to lovers trope. And I was talking to Connie R, and she's on my channel ever so often, and we scam bait and stuff. believe I was out for a walk, like a nighttime walk when we were talking about. I don't want to get into much detail because she's my editor, and so she kind of likes to be surprised. Anyway, and I'm like, I don't even know what you would call it because it's part of the complicated series, but I'm like, I don't even know where to start with. She goes, a complicated stormy night. I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? And she's like, have things happen on a stormy night. And so
So
she
you came
gave
up
me
with
the
the
idea.
title before you knew what was actually going to happen in
She
the book.
she
You're
came up with the
sneaky.
title. What?
Sneaky.
You
Oh
know,
no, because she already saw it in her head. I wonder if this comes from her being an editor and knowing your third book.
I think so.
And was just like, I could see how she would be able to write this in a way where it would coalesce on a stormy night.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, and I think what it was too, because I wrote this back in spring of 2023. Like I said, right before I got pregnant. And so there was times where I was writing this scene, it was storming. And that's what I wanted, and that's what I hoped for. So there was a couple times too editing that it was storming while I was reading that. Not very often, as much as I would like to, with reading those chapters where everything goes down to add more to it. But what I did do is, if it wasn't, I would look up ambient storm sounds
I was just about to
on
say, what
YouTube.
about going and finding storm sounds? But it's
But
not the same. I
it's
get it.
not the
It's not the
same.
same. There's so much energy that comes with a storm, with the movement of the
Mhm.
clouds, the rain moving through the air. Like there literally is so much energy and static energy and everything else with the storm that no, with how empathic you are, it totally makes sense why you would want the natural to be able to write in it.
Yeah,
That is actually a really cool way to come up with a title for your book.
right. I
So
wasn't even the one that came up with it. It was
yeah,
Connie R.
the
Yeah.
editors are able to do. They're able to get in the minds of the writers to be able to edit their books. So she probably just jumped into your mind real quick and was like, how would I write it if I was Cora? So what was your favorite scene to write and what was the hardest scene to write?
I would say during the stormy night scenes when it was actually storming, which the storms maybe lasted an hour, like
Well, it
literal
obviously
hour.
made an impact though, because that's something you specifically remember about writing it.
Yes.
So
They were short storms too. I do remember that when it did, and I'm like, why can't it just rain, man?
why can't it
Just
just
for
thunder and lightning like it usually does?
yeah.
Well, okay, then what was the hardest scene to write?
So the hardest scene, I think the hardest scene, and this is for every book, was the beginning scene. I always have a hard time
The
starting
first
a book.
chapter. The first chapter
It's
is
like
the hardest. I thought you guys were kind of joking about that when I first watched AuthorTube,
yeah.
but somebody told me go back to your first chapter after you've written your first 10, reread it and see if you still like it. So I get it. I understand because I think I rewrote my first chapter at least 4 or 5 times. So which character was the hardest and the easiest for you to write?
I think the easiest characters to write those characters that were already in the other books, which would include Anton and Isabel, who has changed since the past couple books. When it comes down to the main characters, which is Danny and Noah, I had a little bit of a hard time with Danny because you want her to go from sweet and innocent to like not like sweet, innocent, and a people pleaser to finally putting her foot down.
So not being mean, but being assertive.
Yes. And I think there was a couple times that it got interesting. I'm like, why did I write this? But you know what? I'm going to keep it in there because even my editors are laughing about it. With Noah, supposed to be the bad boy type, likes to do stuff that could cause him trouble, but never gets caught. And
Curious, but not vindictive.
not vindictive and not too aggressive. Like he just likes to go, oh, let's go sneak into this house. Like,
Curious.
little small things. Yeah.
I love those kind of characters because I relate so much with those kind of characters. Like, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna look. You know
Pretty
what I mean?
much.
Yeah. So do you see yourself in any of the characters, like in any of the books?
With Danny, this is more of how I evolved from maybe middle school to high school, I was always bullied by kids and stuff. And then by sophomore year, I had them afraid of me.
So you related a lot to the high school version of you in the first character, in the main character?
Yeah.
Now, did you have any Stormy Night escapades that you could relate it to as well?
No.
I had to ask. You know, I had to. I mean, come on.
I mean,
No.
not that I can remember with my husband, but
Yeah, that's true. Was there anything that you learned from writing this book that was different from anything you learned from the past books?
I did take this one person's criticism, you know, and I really take criticism hard, but I tried to reread it once more, you know, to
Through
see,
their eyes?
yeah, what they might do differently, because they were talking about run-on sentences and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay attention with this book and see what I could come across. Hopefully it doesn't sound like it's for a teenager.
Well, and it's easy to get into that as a writer because in your head, it's all there. I get that. So was there anything that surprised you about this book?
So the biggest thing that I think surprised me about this, of how comfortable I was with having to wait a little bit longer to work on it, wait a little bit longer to release it, take my time. When you have extra projects on the side, you've got to just take your time because other things happen.
Now, is the increased patience from writing your fourth book or from being a mom?
I would say more patience as a writer. Like I said, and part of it's because of what you have told me. It's okay to take your time a little bit, not push for release dates and stuff. So I think that's what it was. It was like after I wanted to release it in August and I made it all the way to this month. I'm like, okay, November 30th is going to be it. It's got to be it. So it's going to be it November 30th.
And that proves you still pursued the end date. You just allowed yourself to maybe, give yourself an extension on it.
Yeah.
Anything else about this book that you want to add?
So this book, also the way it ends, will continue on to the next book in the series. Like I said, they are standalones. So the next main character of the next book, she is from the third book, and she's actually Isabel's friend. And then the male main character will be Artem, which is also from the third book. It'd be his brother. So that one's going to be interesting. I already have the name for that. I don't have the main plot or anything written out. I actually came up with this and I brought it to Connie R. And she's like, yes, do it. And it's going to be called The Complicated Mafia Fling.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be fun.
So, yeah.
So you say it's a standalone, which means that even though it's part of a series, you can still read.
You can read it without
having to understand prior information, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I do like to put the characters from the books before into that, still for homage that they're still there. They still exist.
So for those of you that don't quite understand that, what it means is basically it's not like Harry Potter where you need to read book number 1, 2, and 3 to understand book 4. It's like other series where you can take book 4 and read that one, and then take book 2 and read that one, and still be able to understand book 1.
Yeah. It's just if you read them out of order, you're like,
yeah, but still though, sometimes there are some authors that like that. And I loved feeling like that reader that had the insider information. I can see what the appeal is to that kind of writing because even if you love a character from one book, you never know, it might pop up in another book in the future. All right, so thank you for joining us tonight, Cora. I had a lot of fun with this interview. I learned a lot about the book, and I appreciate you coming on my channel to do this kind of interview for us. So thank you for joining us on this wonderful evening. And just remember, if you want to like and subscribe, we always appreciate it. Do the YouTube-y things. The link for Cora's book will be down in the below comments and in the information. And
besides, thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I loved having you.
I love you.
And when book number 5 comes out,
hell yeah.
All right. So we'll keep it that way. All right. Thank you guys for coming, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.